Hello everybody, Mr. Sticksman here, and welcome back to Stormworks Career Mode. Now today is going to be a bit of a different episode. A couple of you have been asking if I can do some building, and so today that is exactly what I'm going to do. Although it's not going to be a new boat, we are actually going to perform an engine conversion on the Wolverine. So right now we're looking at the engine for this thing. It's a single medium engine with one radiator. I think I've got, one generator, just one gearbox and all that stuff. Now, I've got some ideas for this boat, and actually I can fit a large diesel engine, not in this room right here, but inside the hull itself. It fits perfectly nice and low down in the center of the boat, so we can actually have that as an option, and that might even be the best option. But I thought today I'd try to do a twin medium engine setup here in this very room. So we're essentially going to have an engine left and right of the center line here. So let's just take this into the workbench and have a go and see what we can come up with. Okay, here we go then. So let's head on in. And actually, before I start this, I'm actually going to take off some of these wedges here just to allow a bit more light in so we can see what we're doing. That's probably going to help a bit. There we go, a bit of sunlight. There isn't even a sun in here, but the light's coming from somewhere anyway. And that is already a little bit better, but now I think the first thing to do is actually demolish the entire engine here. So let's get rid of all these pipes, and I will put symmetry mode on just to make things a bit easier. I often forget that, but not today. We're going to remember these things. And there we are, the engine room is now completely gutted out. So let's first of all just put some engines in on their own and just see if they fit, because of course I can extend the width of this room if we need to by taking out these walls, or at least, putting them further out. I'm still going to have it as a sealed room. So let's put a couple of engines in and see how they look. Okay, there we go, and luckily they seem to fit perfectly into the engine room here. There's a nice one block gap here on either side in case we need to send pipes down there. And also, actually guys, I might turn these things round in a minute, but just in terms of general space and positioning, I think that's pretty much perfect. In fact, I am going to move them one further down. So let's grab our select tool here and just, number one, we're going to spin them round like that. And then we're going to bring them this way, just one. Now this pipe here, if I just paste these in and then merge them, this pipe down here is where the power goes. These two outlets here are for the power on either side. So what we can do is merge them into one, send them down this pipe, and then the pipe runs along here and goes down into, the clutch and the gearbox and the generator, and then finally through these pipes here into the propellers. Okay, so that is pretty much good at the moment. We can probably do that right now. Let's grab some piping here then and actually connect them together, and all these things can change, of course. At the moment we're it's a bit of trial and error, so nothing is necessarily going to be the final solution, but you got to start somewhere, right? So that's what we're going to do. Potentially, could we move the engine one space forwards? I don't know if that's the best idea. These air intakes are also positioned almost perfectly as well. So actually, if I just delete some of these blocks and I'll turn them into piping, and we can connect them directly up. In fact, let me just do it from there. I think that's perfect. We're going to look for a pipe angle, and we're going to put it just over here. And it's symmetry, of course, so they're both building at the same time, both sides. And then we'll just bend it around the corner. And actually, that's going to look a bit neater and probably save a bit of weight as well. So finally, we want to have a corner or an angle piece. And there we go. The air is properly set up. We can fill in the rest of the blocks here, and I'll do the painting at the end probably. But there we go. Air is sorted. Power is nearly sorted. And for the power, what we can actually do, instead of having to take our pipes further out to this one, we'll just have the angle piece here. So actually there's less pipe work in the end. And we'll just fill that gap up as well. And then we'll join up with these straight pieces here. Look at that. Power and air is already done. This is going very well so far. Now here is our fuel port, and we have exhausts as well. So exhausts could actually go down the side. That's exactly what I want to do. So for exhaust, I'm going to get some angle pieces here, and I'm going to connect these up with a T-piece as well. And there we are. If that connects. Sometimes they don't connect first time. It's a bit annoying. There we go. So exhausts are connected. it's the same as what I did in the previous iteration of the engine setup for this boat. So now we're just going to take them down the sides here. I'll try and drag it along. There we go. And is there enough space to sort of whip it up? And I'll probably put them into 1 and then into 3. So it'd be 2 to 1 to 3. Here we have an issue, right? Is this actually going to work here because of the angle on the wall here? We'll try and curve it in or up. Perhaps we'll have to curve it up a bit. Then we'll bend it in. Now here I'm going to bring these 3 exhaust pipes into 1 first of all by using a pipe cross like this. There we go, done. So that's sort of 1 into 3, and then we can convert the 2 into the 1. The only concern here is that the pipe work, it's not super long, but it's kind of long, so it's alright. We could even add pumps. Sometimes if you add pumps onto the air intake, for example, you can actually increase the power of the engines. It's pretty good. We just don't want there to be any restrictions in terms of flow for the engine. What I'll do just for now is actually bring these pipes here, and we could even tidy it up at some point in the future. But, you know, we want to see if this setup works first of all. Because if it's not very good, we can even go to the big diesel, but that's going to be more of a big change. I'm going to have to change up where the fuel is, where the bed is, and stuff like that. So let's try this situation first and see how it goes. I'm trying to select that pipe there. There we are. Okay, a straight piece, and we'll just... Oh no, the light's in the way. That's alright. Okay, so we'll go down 1. Sometimes, you know, it's taking me 3 clicks to get these things to place down. It's very strange. But the game's been doing that for a long time. And yeah, I don't quite know what that is. But here we're going to use a T-piece corner, because I reckon that's going to solve this problem for us. There we go. We want it to come down 1, and then we'll grab an angle and just point it towards here. And now the exhausts are connected up. Let's just have a look at our work so far. It's okay. It's okay. Potentially, I could even send these pipes around the top of the engines, but it might look a bit more untidy. So for now, we'll stick with this. If we need to, I can add a pump on the exhaust, and it might even help with the flow for the engine and the gases and stuff. But we'll find out at some point when we get testing. Okay, now here is the cooling. So before, of course, I had a radiator for a single engine, and one of the reasons is that it was just extra pipe work to send the cooling down into the sea. So I might decide on that in a minute. We could use radiators again. I didn't overheat when I had the engines running at full power. It was absolutely fine. There were no worries at all. So actually, I don't think it's a concern for us to use an ordinary radiator. I might stick them on for now, and actually I might change it at some point. But first of all, let's grab some pipes here and just stick them out of the coolant area. There we go. And then we'll grab our radiator, which is here. Connect it up, basically. Hopefully that's going to work in that position, is it? Is that right? That's not right, is it? Oh, it is right. Okay. What does it look like from here? I mean, we still have good access. We can repair all of this stuff. We can even climb onto the engines if we need to repair the pipe work at the back. So we will test that, of course, but I think it'll be all right. And then finally, we have the fuel. And luckily, I believe that's the fuel port right down there. We'll just check that. So it comes down here and then into the fuel tank underneath, which currently is about 4,100 litres. Again, we might have to make this bigger now because we're increasing the amount of engines in the boat. But also, we might be able to increase the efficiency somehow to counter that. We'll have to see, again, with a bit of testing. First of all, we'll grab our pipes again and try and connect up. Hopefully this should work very, very easily, actually. We'll just grab a straight piece from the back there. And if you're not sure how to do that, by the way, guys, just hold Control and click on anything you want, and it will select it for you so you can place it down. It's just a very quick way of building. I do use that quite a lot. And then we use a T-piece to send it down. There we go. We seem to be one off here. We seem to have to move this. So what I'm going to do is actually delete the T-piece and then just bring it around this way. And then angle it down. Okay, good. And then we'll bring it up. There we are. Nice. And it's pretty neat, isn't it, actually? That's quite a neat setup so far. And hopefully with a few adjustments, we can improve it even more. But actually, I reckon they're going to work now, aren't they? These engines are actually going to work. We'll do a quick bit of painting and then we'll see how it looks. So there we are. We've actually installed the engines. We do have to do some data connections and electric connections and everything. But there is pretty much a complete engine setup. That looks quite good in there, doesn't it? That's the reason why I didn't put the engines lower down in the hull, because I wanted to have one just really easy access to them. But also I thought they looked pretty cool back here. And I was even thinking at one point of having a glass panel over the engines here so you could see them at all times. I thought that'd be really cool. We might still do that at some point, but we just don't have that set up right now. I wish we had a window which kind of angled itself just like these blocks, but unfortunately we don't at the moment. We can use pivots and stuff, but for now we don't have the actual window block for that itself. Okay then, so now let's go into the logic part of this setup and just connect everything up. So first of all, we need our throttle here, and we're going to connect it up to the engines, 1 and 2. We're also going to get the clutch. Actually, the clutch is probably already... Yeah, that's fine. We don't need to do anything with the clutch. What else do we need here? We have got RPS and temperature. Now, I will have to actually redo my dials. I can connect up one engine for now. Which I think is, yes, here it is. So I will actually have separate dials for each engine, but just for now we'll connect up one because they're pretty much working together anyway, and they're probably going to run the same. So let me just find out where our RPS is. We'll connect up one engine just for testing. We have RPS and temperature. Okay, so that engine is now going to be feeding all of its information into one of these dials. I can't remember which one, but one of these dials up here is probably, yeah, it's this one here. Okay. Now next we have to connect up our starter, which is this key here, and I do actually have an improvement to do on the key as well. So now we can start our engines, but the key was quite slow to turn. I didn't adjust its speed. So what we're going to do is turn it from 1 second down to, I think 0.2 is probably good, and also just label it engine starter here. There we go, engine starter, and it's going to be faster to turn. It's just much better really for this use case anyway. And then we probably need some electrics, right? So I've got a lot of batteries positioned all over the place. We might neaten it up at some point, but it works for now. So we'll just connect up these two engines here, and I believe everything else should be connected already. What's this stuff down here? Oh, they're the tool things. Let's connect those up. I haven't done that. There's another 3 over there. And what else? There's one thing over here. What is that as well? Is that? Oh, it's just a button. A few buttons here. Okay, another thing I needed to do actually was connect up the heater. So we can probably attach this button, at least just for now, to the heater, and have that running easily. I will label it as well. So we're just going to do that. Lovely jubbly. So guys, this might actually already be working. There's probably something I've forgotten. Now we are actually in career mode right now. As you can see, there's the money down there on the bottom of the screen. But I'm going to head over into creative mode, or custom mode as it's now called, just for testing this thing, because it saves a lot of time. So let's head over there and have a go with this new setup. Okay, we are now in custom mode, and I'm going to head over here and actually just put the wedges back on, because that's super important. We can't not do that, and I'll just make them the right color as well. There we go. I should be doing this in symmetry mode, shouldn't I? That's better. Let's take them all the way down there. And that is done. I think everything else is sorted, but because we're in creative mode, we can have infinity fuel on, and so I'm going to put a fuel spawner just over here, and then we can just start this thing up straight away without actually fueling it up, and every time it becomes very time consuming. So that's why we're doing this. And now what we're going to just do is click on the select button here, select our spawner, and just make sure it says diesel, which it does. So that's perfect. Now we're going to have diesel in there. Hopefully this is going to work. So let's spawn it in. run straight into the boat and try to fire it up and see how fast it goes, right? I'm pretty excited about this. So just chuck the lights on here. The faster key was much better, look at that. Let's go to 50% throttle, just check the temperatures as well. Right, they're climbing. You might have to watch that. They'll be fine when we put the clutch on. Okay, that's half throttle exactly. And how fast are we going? Now the gear ratios, of course, do have to change. So this is only a very initial early test. Right, that's fine. Now let's go full throttle. Because really we're doing this for the speed and fuel efficiency. Okay, we've blown up already. Fantastic. How fast are we going? We have increased our top speed, but we're about to do that much more now with a few changes to the gear ratios. And as we're heading back right now, I'll probably end up cooling the engines with seawater as well, so we'll see how that goes. But first of all, let's make some changes to our gears. Okay, and here we are inside the hull. Here is the single gearbox. Now, one other thing that if you saw the last episode, you might remember that I actually didn't put a reverse gear on the boat. So annoyingly, we couldn't reverse out of the fuel station. But now, I've got reverse on there, and I will attach a button to that as well. In fact, I would like the reverse button to be, let's see, where would be a good place for it? Perhaps here, actually. I really would like it to be near the throttle, or, wait, would it go? It wouldn't go there because of the dials. Right, I'm going to try it here for now. So let's take off symmetry mode. Then I'm going to put a button just over here and label it reverse. I know I could attach it to a number, but I'd rather have a button if I can. So let's have reverse there. I'm going to give it some power and also connect it up to the gearbox. There we go. So we're just going to get some power now and go straight into this battery here. Now we have a reverse gear sorted out, at least for now. I might use multiple gearboxes, so we might have to redo that, but just for now, we'll leave it at that. And currently the ratio is 1:1, but now we can make this setup much better because we have double the power, and so it's going to be much easier for the engines to spin these propellers. So let's make it a bit harder for them and increase the efficiency by lowering RPS and hopefully increasing speed at the same time. Just for testing, I'm going to make this 2:1. So it used to be 1:1, now it's 2:1. Let's just find out how that is, and then we can change it again if we need to. So we'll spawn it in and give this a go. A bit of throttle, we'll fire it up. And because we're testing, I'll start out on exactly 50% throttle again, just so we can compare. Okay, so you can dump the clutch and it won't stall. And the speed is actually better than before. The RPS is lower as well. That's not bad, is it? The speed is about 1 meter per second faster. Now let's go full power. See how fast we can spin this thing up. As you can see, we're going currently 13 meters per second, which is exactly the same as we used to. However, now we're actually being a bit more efficient with each engine. So the RPS is 9. That's still actually kind of high. We can lower that down. Temperatures are not, they're very hot. Let's just say that. But the engines have not blown up, which is definitely an improvement over the last test. So let's take it back in and try a different ratio to get more speed. Before we really focus on efficiency, we're just going to try and get a better speed first of all. So I reckon we're going to go back this way and let's try 3:2 and just see what the speed is with this setup. Okay, so we're on half throttle at the moment, and again, look at that. We've now really improved our speed at 50% throttle. 7.6 is where it's resting. Now let's go full power and see if we can break 15 meters per second. And yes, we can easily. 17.5. Almost 18 meters per second there. So probably averaging, you know, like 17.8, 17.9. And before, in the previous video, we were doing about 13 max. The temperatures are just simply too high, so we are going to have to do water cooling for these. And I could probably add some pumps onto the fuel and perhaps get a bit more power. We can do the same for the air as well. Something's gone wrong because my speed has now decreased to 9.5. Why is that? I mean, has an engine broken? Maybe. Let's go and have a look at the engines. And I can potentially repair them if we need to. Oh yeah, they're both broken. So that was the temperatures then. Temperatures were too high. Okay, so let's go and add some water cooling to this system. But look at that, we've got great access for repairing if we need to. And they're speeding up again now. Let's just watch the temperature. Yeah, that's climbing and it's going to go to 120. Right then, so the first thing to do here is to delete our radiators and stick the pipes straight into the ground. In fact, I'll just put symmetry mode on. There we are, that's better. Let's take off these pipes here and we'll make some holes in the floor for those. We're going to connect these up and send them into the hole here. In fact, I'll just put some straight enclosed pieces down first. That's better. And then we can get some straight pipes and connect those up. Right. Now we've done that, I can figure out where I want the intake and the exhaust for the coolant to be. I would just put it down here, but as you can see, I've actually got these wedges here, so it's a bit tricky. But where are the closest flat pieces for me to work with? Okay, now I've decided what I'm going to do in terms of positioning my fluid ports for the cooling. So I'm going to put them here. This is a really good location for them. And this one is actually lining up perfectly as well. The other one I'm going to just bend around a bit. So first of all, let's get the port itself. And we'll just chuck it down here. The other one is going to go here just behind it because I think that's going to work better. Now let's connect it up with the pipes. And again, I might have to add some pumps onto this system eventually. But it should be alright just for now. Okay, and there we go. Our coolant system is now going to use the seawater. These engines are going to run much cooler. It's going to be better. Far, far better. But yeah, we may need a pump at some point for the intakes. So actually, let's just find out where the intake is. Is it this one? No, that's the out. Okay, so we're going to use this one. And I will colour code them here, just so that we can remember what's what. So that's going to be red, because it's the out and the hot water comes out here. And then this is the in, because it's cold water, it's blue. Therefore, that means that this one is going to be blue as well. And the other one is going to be red. Next, I'm actually going to try and tidy them up a bit and also add some pumps for the intake of the coolant. And yeah, that's going to improve the cooling even more. Now, as you can see here, I'm trying to use enclosed piping as much as possible because one, it makes it a lot neater and it's easier to sort of move around inside the hull, but also it will save a bit of weight. And we do need weight in all boats, but we want it in the right place, essentially. So I don't want weight, you know, as high up like this. And so I'm going to route around this piping here with these enclosed blocks, and hopefully that's going to be very beneficial to us. Look how neat and tidy that is now. The coolant is almost entirely in the blocks themselves, apart from the actual pump here and these pipes here. Otherwise, it's all internal. So that is super neat and tidy. I will actually just colour code the piping here as well, just so I can easily follow it if I need to do extra repairs and stuff like that. That's pretty much it. I don't think we need any pumps for the exhaust of the coolant. It's just the intake there. Now I suppose we need a button to turn the pumps on, unless I integrate it into the engine starting system. But just for now, I'll keep it simple, and we'll give it some power first of all. So that is connected up to a battery, and of course we do have two pumps, one for each engine on either side. Both sides are exactly the same. Okay, now I've got two spare buttons here. I don't believe either of these are doing anything. Oh, that's the beacon locator. That is now the heater. We've got one spare button, but we can use that to turn our coolant on. It's got power already, so I'm going to connect it up straight away into both of these pumps here. And that's it. Now our coolant is far more powerful than it ever was before. And so now, before we make any other changes, let's spawn the boat in, run it full power, and see how cool the engines run. Before we start anything, we need to turn on the coolant. That's really important. We can't forget that now, because water cannot pass through the cooling system if that button is not on. The pumps have to be on. Otherwise, it'll just simply blow up, which is not good. So let's just go full power here and keep an eye on our temperatures. There they are. And look at that, straight away we can tell they're much better. It might get up to 30 or 31, but I don't even know if it's going to get there, to be honest. It's just hanging around in the low 29s at full power, instead of blowing up at 120 degrees, which is what they did before. So essentially, that is a quarter of the temperature. That's very good. That's extremely good. Now also look at the speed here, 18 meters per second, which is around about 36 knots actually. Before we were going, what was it we were going before? 13 meters per second, 26 knots. So actually we've increased our top speed by 10 knots and we've got cooler temperatures at the same time. But the next thing to do is perhaps to get even more speed and also then work on efficiency as well. Okay, now just to tidy up the outlet for the coolant as well, I've actually used some more enclosed piping here. So actually that's pretty neat, isn't it? I've just got some vertical piping and a pump. That's all we need. And so minimising the amount of weight and increasing the space that we've got using this system. Okay, so at the moment I'm actually in the original version of the Wolverine, and I'm going to show you the RPS, the speed, and you know, all that good stuff there. So first of all, we're going 12.5 meters per second. Here's the RPS and 17.3 there. That is super high, and that's what we did the mission with in the previous episode. The temperatures are 95, so not quite high enough to blow up, but still very, very high. Also, you can see how quickly this thing is drinking the fuel. So just remember these numbers, guys, and in a minute I'm going to show you the new Mark II version of the Wolverine, which is, you know, a bit of an improvement over this. Okay, now we're in Mark II of the Wolverine, and straight away the RPS is a lot lower. It's gone down from 17 point something down to, well, nearly 11, which is a massive improvement. But of course we now have two engines both running at that RPS. But don't worry, because there are improvements across the board. We have 33.7 degrees temperature. Again, that is just super low compared to before. And if we look here at the speed, we're doing 14.8, 14.7 meters per second. Now that is not a big improvement, but it is faster. It's about 28, 29 knots there. And the boat is now running twice the efficiency. So we should be able to go around twice the distance at least at full power. So over a long distance, the speed will help us quite a bit, and also the efficiency, well, it will save money for one thing, but also it will enable us to complete more missions successfully without refueling and spending all that time doing that as well. So overall, it is a much faster boat for missions. Now we can make this thing go faster. You saw earlier we got up to 18 meters per second. That's, you know, 36 knots or so, and I'm sure we can get it even quicker than that, but we are going to lose some efficiency at the same time. And so we have achieved what we set out to do in this episode, is increase the speed, increase the efficiency, and also we've cooled down the engines as an extra bonus there as well. And if you want to see the fuel being used up here, you can just see the number there. Now what's interesting, guys, and I'm only doing this by eye, but if we reduce the throttle to 90%, okay, we're still getting actually faster speeds than the old Wolverine, but at the same time we are now about 3 times as efficient. Now it might be 2.5 times as efficient rather than 3, and I'm only judging it by eye, but that is way more efficient to go 90% and still achieve a higher speed than before. And our speed will increase as we use up the fuel, because the boat's going to get much lighter as well. So actually going 90% throttle, and I'm sure there are even more efficient throttles than that, but as an example, we are achieving some really good results here, especially when you consider the distances that we're going to be travelling. Okay, and just to finish up our work here today, I'm in the fuel tank right now, and I'm actually going to just replace some of these blocks with wedges to increase the capacity of the tank even more. Now over here is actually the bed, so we're not going to go that far, but if we just go here and turn these blocks into wedges, we can also do these ones, we'll actually increase the capacity and make the tank a bit lighter as well. To do that, we're going to grab these wedges here, just flip them over so you don't know any difference from the outside of this thing. And then in the center, I'm just going to turn that one sideways and just whack it up to the end there. And now let's just go and check how much extra capacity we actually have now we've done that small bit of work there. And there we are, we've actually just increased our capacity for fuel from about 4,140 litres up to 4,440, so an increase of about 300 litres only for adding those wedges, or at least changing blocks into wedges. Now we could do even more work there if we really want to, but paired with the extra efficiency and extra fuel capacity and faster speeds as well, we really should be in a much better position for future missions. Okay, now we're back in career mode. As you can see, we have the money down here, and just so you know, the actual cost of this boat has now gone up by approximately $1,000 up to $29,500. I can't remember what it was before, but you know, it's not a massive amount more, and some big improvements there. Also, you might remember that earlier on I said I was going to make a dial, you know, to connect up both engines for temperatures and RPS and all that stuff. I am going to do that off camera. It's a bit fiddly, that stuff, so I'll probably do it off camera and have it ready for the next episode. But otherwise, job done. Now annoyingly, we still have these NPCs here from the previous mission. They're probably going to be there forever now, which is super annoying. I wish they'd despawn when the mission despawns or expires, or you know, whatever as well. So that is a real shame. Yeah, we could have a massive build up of these these people by the end of the series. But anyway, there is the Mark II of the Wolverine, and I'm very excited to test it out, guys. And if you did enjoy me doing some building and some work on the boat on camera, then let me know. I hope you did. I know some of you have been asking for that, so I hope that's been good for you guys. And if this video goes down well, I could potentially build entire boats for you guys on camera in the future. We'll see. I might not always do it, but do let me know in the comments down below what you think. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you for commenting and liking the videos and all the rest of it. But with all that being said and done, thank you so much. Take care, and I hope to see you all very soon. Bye, guys.